Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. The final sitting of the House of Assembly at the 200-year-old building in capital Kingston will take place tomorrow, June 1st, 2023. On NBC Radio's face-to-face program today, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Saab said tomorrow's sitting will commence at 4 p.m. and will be attended by a number of persons, including former parliamentarians.
A formal sitting of the House. It takes place in the afternoon, and we are going to have the official photo session at 3:30, and the House will be in session at 4. And the Speaker has invited the former parliamentarians,
okay,
who are after the formal session. We will then, the Speaker is organizing a cocktail now. It's kind of bringing the curtains down on a long period of time where that Parliament has existed, the Legislative Council first, and then the House of Assembly.
Yes.
So the Speaker is correct for us to bring it to a dignified closure now.
Right.
As we move into other premises. And of course, when the existing courthouse building is rehabilitated, it would also be used for court facilities.
Right.
Strengthening thereby in that way law and order now.
Yes.
And delivery of justice, the oxygen of justice.
After the special final sitting, Parliament will convene at the new temporary headquarters in Kaliakwa. Built at a cost of over $4 million EC dollars, the Agency for Public Information said in an earlier news release that the temporary headquarters will later be converted into a students' hostel upon completion of the new Parliament building and Hall of Justice at Beachmont. In the meantime, API says historically sensitive restorative work will begin on the Parliament building and courthouse in Kingston. Construction on the new Parliament and Hall of Justice at Beachmont is expected to commence later this year. Approximately $4.5 million are expected to be spent on advancing relocation, restoration, design, and construction related to the new Parliament building and court complex. A team of medical professionals from the state of Palestine are currently in the state to provide a number of health support services to Vincentians. Two senior officials from the state of Palestine met with Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Saab on Monday, May 29th at the Prime Minister's official residence ahead of the arrival of the medical team. The team, who will be here for a week, includes 10 medical doctors and a nurse with experience in various areas of medicine and general surgery. The team is expected to perform up to 70 surgeries while here. Prime Minister Gonzalez said St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the state of Palestine have good relations, noting that SVG has supported Palestine's call for a recognition as a member of the United Nations. The Prime Minister reiterates that SVG will continue to strengthen relations with the Arab world and hope that peace and amicable settlements can be reached with regards to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
Of course, I visited Palestine. Eloise, you were with me, and so too was other members of our delegation. And we quite enjoyed it, and I'm very happy that another invitation has come for us to visit Palestine. And I was suggesting maybe December when I go to the Conference of Parties under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP28 in Dubai in December. I was telling my friends that the extent to which we are strengthening our relations with the Arab world, the Minister of Tourism and head of the Saudi Fund of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia came with a delegation on Friday, and we signed important agreements. Of course, we have long-standing relations with Morocco, with Kuwait, with the UAE, with Egypt. We have honorary consul, an office of an honorary consul in Oman, in Egypt. We have diplomatic relations with Bahrain. In fact, Eloise grew up in Bahrain, so she understands very much the Arab world and the Arab civilization. We have here lots of persons from the Arab world, particularly from Syria and Lebanon. We have a few from Palestine, and they're all very productive citizens of those countries, and many of them are citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They've been here quite a long time. They've had children here. Some are born in our country. So that, as you know, foreign policy is that we are friends of all and we strive for a better world. And
Assistant Minister for International Cooperation for the State of Palestine, Ambassador Imad Al-Hussein, has said the ongoing programs complements their Palestinian international cooperation agencies' work here at the Georgetown and Kingston hospitals. The ambassador also reiterated his government's commitment to the future programs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We conveyed the greetings of His Excellency President Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian people to His Excellency, and through him to the government and the friendly people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I have briefed His Excellency on the latest developments on the ground, also on the ongoing programs that the Palestinian International Cooperation Agency is currently conducting in its third phase here in both hospitals, Georgetown and Kingstown. I also reiterated our commitment and our willingness to proceed with future programs in the coming period. We will be adapting our needs to the capacities, because SVG was always standing next to the rights of the Palestinian people. Once again, all what we do here today, Mr. Prime Minister, comes as instructions by my President, by my Minister of Foreign Affairs, but also to the concrete realization of the signed agreements by Dr. Linda Soboh, Her Excellency, our Ambassador to the Caribbean, and the senior officials in SVG. We are ready for you. We thank you for all your support, Mr. Prime Minister, and still there are a lot of things to do in the very near future.
absolutely.
21 of 50 prefabricated houses bought by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines from the government of Guyana are expected to be distributed in volcano-affected areas from this week. Speaking on NBC Radio's face-to-face program this morning, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Salves noted that all the fittings for 12 two-bedroom houses are already here, while another 9 two-bedrooms are expected to arrive by the 1st of June. Prime Minister Gonsalves further outlined how the houses will be distributed.
Houses here. 2 shipments came, 6 in each shipment. You know, they come in containers and they'll be assembled. We will do the base now.
Right.
We got some numbers last week at Cabinet for the base, but we asked that they revise the numbers for the base, on which these houses are going to be connected, linked. And these timber houses are going to last lifetime, you know, Johnny P.
Yeah.
And then already shipped the further 9. So in another 2 weeks, that 9 should be, or the 9 should be here. So then you'll have 21 now.
Yeah.
These are 2 bedrooms. The first 8 are going down by Carlos in North Leeward. 15 going to North Leeward, all told. 20 going to North Windward and 15 to North Central. These are the first 50, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
You know, we'll see how those go. I'm sure that people are going to love them,
Yes.
and we can increase the supply.
On January 20th, 2023, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines signed a $6 million EC loan agreement with Demerara Bank Limited, Guyana, for the purchase of 50 prefab houses. The Ministry of Transport, Works, Lands and Physical Planning, through the Natural Disaster Management Project Implementation on the Management Unit, the NDM, PIMU, is undertaking a number of projects island-wide. The project team is hosting a series of community meetings to inform residents about the projects. Last evening, residents, property owners, farmers and other stakeholders in Dixon and Perseverance were engaged in a meeting at the Dixon Methodist School to discuss the Dixon Bridge and Perseverance Road projects funded by the Caribbean Development Bank. On hand to provide an overview of the projects and to address questions and concerns were members of the project team of the National Disaster Management Project Implementation and Management Unit and parliamentary representative for the area, Montgomery Daniel. Leading off the discussion was Program Manager Cecil Harris, who told those at the meeting that they will rehabilitate the Perseverance Road and Bridge, which will allow farmers easier access to their lands and to the CWSA's water treatment plant. He said the contract for the road and bridge was divided into 2 phases, which they split into 2 for easy construction, noting that the first phase will focus on rehabilitation of the Perseverance Road, which will see the rehabilitation of approximately 3,330 meters of road.
Concrete road spanning between 10 and 16 feet is going to have continuous drainage along one side, 16 feet wide. It's going to be 3.3 kilometers long, which is just over 2 miles. And there are going to be various retaining wall structures along that route. Reinforced concrete, gabions, stone rubble walls. And the contract is about to start imminently. As I say, the recommendations are in with the procurement board. They were supposed to be meeting today to confirm the recommendations. And when they do, it'll take about 2 months between confirmation and start, because we have to sign the contract document with the contractor. Then the contract has to be registered. Then the contractor has to mobilize on site, set up a site office. So between procurement board and setup, it'll take about 2 months. But as I say, it's imminent. The recommendations are into the procurement board, and we expect a recommendation a no objection to be issued shortly.
You start in the end of July, beginning of August?
Could be, yes. Yeah.
In reference to the Dixon Bridge, Harris said during construction there will be some inconvenience to vehicular traffic in the area.
So the actual road itself, as I say, we have some concrete road that we're going to build, 515 feet. We're going to demolish the existing culvert, and we're going to put a 16-foot span bridge, and it's going to be 18 feet wide with a little pedestrian sidewalk to accommodate the residents of Dixon when they are crossing. We are going to construct a temporary footbridge. In this case, however, we are not constructing a temporary vehicular bypass. There's going to be some discomfort for the residents during the construction of this bridge. Vehicular-wise, you will not be able to cross with a vehicle whilst the bridge is under construction. We just didn't have the space or the funding for that. And there was an alternative route that you could use. In the case of Perseverance, there was no alternative route for the farmers to use. Therefore, we had to put ourselves out to provide temporary vehicular traffic. But we had to provide a temporary footbridge for the residents and for the school kids. So that temporary footbridge will be installed. Again, for this particular bridge, you got the reinforced concrete retaining walls, gabion baskets, roadside drainage structures, and we are also doing some work in the river to protect the river embankments upstream and downstream of the new bridge. Again, funded by CDB, project managed by us. The contract value is about $2.3 million, contract duration about 9 months. The contractor to be announced by the procurement board shortly.
Area Superior Representative Montgomery Daniels said he is happy to see the work will soon commence to rehabilitate the Perseverance Road network.
In 2016, when we had the great flood, we had the Perseverance Valley washed out. But before that, there were problems right here. And the problems increased over the years. Now, what is happening to us as a people is that 20 years ago, the forest cover that was in this country is no longer around. And so, runoff water is much more now than before. And because of that, the bridges and the culverts that were established before can no longer take the volume of water that is now coming downstream. And so we are having tremendous problems. After 2016, and of that great flood, I went to the Ministry of Transport and Works almost day after day to have these problems sorted. We almost were ready in around 2021, 2022, but of course you know what transpired then. It was COVID, and it was the volcanic eruptions. And thank God that all of the processes, which is quite a lengthy one, has been completed. And we are now at the point where construction will begin. I'm very happy as to where we are at this point in time.
The community meeting was also attended and addressed by Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves. With a large export of conch from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Fisheries Minister Sabota Caesar said that it is time for a conversation with the conch operators in regards to a potential conch season. Minister Caesar made the statement as he addressed the prize-giving ceremony for the 46th Fisherman's Day celebrations on Monday.
That while we are happy that we are exporting large quantities of conch, that we have to ensure that generations to come, they will have conch as well. And we are going to have a national consultation on whether or not we are going to put a season on the capturing of conch. There's also a need for several rest areas to be put in place. And we have discussed over the years the issue of the implementation of regulations for bait fish. No bottom trawling will be allowed.
Addressing the improper dumping of conch shells, Minister Caesar said several no-discharge areas would be put in place.
And before the end of this year, working with the technicians in fisheries, working with the tourism and hospitality sector and the operators of the yachts, we are going to put in place several no-discharge areas. It is very important also that we don't only put the regulations on paper, but we put the proper monitoring systems in place, because there are many persons who are fishing for conch and they're taking the conch out of the shell and they're throwing the empty shell into the water, and it has been said to us, was told to us, that it is scientifically proven that this will reduce the conch population. And this is something that we are going to ensure that we regulate on paper and that we also monitor.
The Fisheries Minister also noted that 30 fishing boats will be equipped with the DigiFish equipment to help monitor their operations out at sea.
I want to thank the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Environmental Fund for sponsoring the Fisher Folk organization. And I know that the president is here, and I hope that he's listening, because we are here to support all Fisher Folk organizations. The DigiFish equipment would be attached to some 30 boats, so that when the fisher folk, when you go out and you have this equipment in your boat, you can be tracked by satellite. And this whole issue, sometimes a fisherman goes out, when he's way out, he can't use his cell phone, and you hear on the news, another one of our brothers has gone missing. This is here to assist that. And I want to say to the donors that in the budget for 2024, we are going to ensure that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we also provide, through the fleet expansion program, the requisite instruments as well to complement the DigiFish equipment, and we will be purchasing some DigiFish instruments as well.
The Ministry of National Mobilization concluded its activities for Child's Month today with a march and rally in capital Kingston, which was supported by the Early Childhood Development Department and the police youth clubs of the SVG Police Force. Child's Month 2023 was held under the theme, "We Care, Embrace the Vision, Empower the Nation. Let us truly commit ourselves to co-regulate, analyze, redirect, and educate our nation's children." Addressing the rally at Heritage Square, Superintendent of Police Kamisia Blake said the SVG Police Force cares about the nation's children and that special efforts are being made to ensure justice is served to perpetrators of crimes committed against children.
That note, I want to say that it is an offense, because many persons do not know that the circulation of child pornography, because of recent times, we have persons circulating on social media child pornography of children, and it's an offense for you to receive that pornography and circulate it to other persons. What you should do is that you inform a police officer of that child pornography so that the matter can be investigated. We have to ensure that perpetrators of this crime is brought to justice, because our children are our future and we have to protect them. So not only in the month of May, we have to show that we care, but we have to show that we care for our children throughout the year.
Chief Education Officer K. Martin Jack, who also addressed the rally, said over at the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation has been partnering with other ministries and departments to ensure the children of SVG reach their fullest potential.
Responsibility for educating goes beyond the pillars and boundaries of the Ministry of Education and the schools it supervises. We wish to commend the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force for consistently collaborating with us. We have had close relations with the DARE program, Fight Against Crime, and today we are partnering with the Police Youth Club to host this rally. It is a well-known fact that the school is a microcosm of our society. Whatever occurs within our communities most often spills over into our schools. Therefore, we wish to extend our profound gratitude to the Police Force Youth Club for recognizing the need to equip our students with the necessary knowledge and skills for the holistic development and for helping to keep them on the right path.
In other news now, approximately $27 million will be spent this year from the $121 million secured by the government to improve the road network across the country over the next 3 years. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport and Works Montgomery Daniels spoke more about the road program as a guest speaker at the rally held last Friday by the Traffic Department of the RSVG Police Force to culminate the Road Safety Week.
And of the $120 million to be spent on road improvements, 99 roads have already been identified under this program to be done. The unit that is responsible for this program has already identified almost 30 roads to be done this year. And so, by June 20th, we should have outstanding work on this program commenced.
While noting the different types of motor vehicles which have come into the country as of recent, Minister Daniels said the Ministry of Transport and Work has been discussing ways to improve the width of the main road network.
I can say to you that vehicles entering St. Vincent and the Grenadines, their size, their length, their width, continues to be challenging for the use of the roads. Equally so, it poses a challenge to the traffic department. Presently in the ministry, we are having some discussions in terms of improving on the width of the main road, because when one looks at a 40-foot container moving on the road and are turning corners on the existing roads, one realizes the challenges that exist, and of course the safety to other road users. And so, the discussion is now on in the ministry to have road widths improved.
Noting that cooperation is essential for motorists using the roads of SVG, Minister Daniel used the opportunity to urge motorists to collaborate for road safety.
The challenges ahead, in my view, is not unsurmountable. We can meet the challenges head on. Let us understand our level of maturity. Let us understand in the use of our roads that cooperation is also a major factor. Sometimes, as I've seen on many occasions, where drivers physically abuse one another because of lack of cooperation on these roads. And so, let's all work together to improve our road safety. I know some of the challenges may not go away readily and easily. But I say to you, understanding and cooperation on our roads can help in alleviating many of the problems and give us a better way to traverse our life and our living.
The SVG Indian Heritage Foundation will celebrate the 162nd anniversary of the arrival of Indians to SVG tomorrow, June 1st, 2023. The first ship, the Travancore, departed India with persons who made the journey to the country unknown, but which was to become their home between 1861 and 1880. 8 ships brought 2,474 Indians to SVG to work, and they lived on 23 estates. Just over half of these Indians remained in SVG, while about 1,100 returned to India. The SVG Indian Heritage Foundation was formalized and launched in 2006, and in 2007, the government of SVG, following the recommendation of the then Minister of Culture, René Batiste, passed an Act of Parliament declaring June 1st Indian Arrival Day and October 7th Indian Heritage Day. Since then, SVG Indian Heritage Foundation has celebrated the day with a reenactment of the arrival of Indians on boats at Indian Bay, followed by rallies with cultural performances by persons from India, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, and local artists. Indian food has been served and Indian wear displayed at these functions. President of the Indian Heritage Foundation, Junior Baker, said that the main aim of the Indian Heritage Foundation is to promote the Indian culture and heritage, which is seen through their annual activities to celebrate Indian Arrival Day.
One of the special feature about our commemoration is the reenactment of the arrival of Indians. So on the 4th of June this year, let me say on the 1st of June, we are encouraging persons on Thursday to eat Indian food, your roti, your dal and whatever. Eat Indian, dress Indian if you could, and remember that on Thursday, next Thursday, the 1st, is really Indian Arrival Day. But because it's a weekday, we thought we want to get maximum participation. So on Sunday at 8 o'clock at Indian Bay, we will be having the reenactment exercise where some of the local Indians will sail on a boat and arrive at Indian Bay, just to give people the feel of how the Indians got here, go through the process of registration, and following that we will have an official ceremony where I can confirm now that the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition will both be present on Sunday, the 4th of June. So Sunday morning, the 4th of June, we will have that ceremony at Indian Bay, and following the official presentations, we will have all the persons who attend will be invited to share in a local breakfast on the beach to remember that day is when we should think of ourselves and our history. So I'm encouraging persons in the Indian community to come out, bring the kids, and get a little chance to understand the history and culture of our Indian people.
Baker said with a focus on peace and harmony, he is delighted to have both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition attend the official ceremony for Indian Arrival Day on Sunday, June 4th.
We didn't officially declare a theme, but as President, I am going to focus on peace and harmony in this time of reflection. So that's my personal focus that I thought necessary, and that's why I am so happy that both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition will be present, because it gives us an opportunity to bridge the gaps of division, political division, because the foundation is not about politics, it's not about religion, all right? And those two, politics and religion, are the two most divisive elements in our society. So my focus this year as president will be on the subject of peace and harmony, and we do need a lot of that in this time.
Baker said no matter your race, everyone is welcome to join them for the event on Sunday, June 4th at Indian Bay for the Big Indian Arrival Day activity. Rural carnival events moved into full effect over the weekend in several communities, including North Leeward, South Leeward, and Central Leeward. On radio yesterday, coordinator of rural carnivals Dylan Morris said the events have been going smoothly thus far and is encouraging fetters to support the events in the various communities.
Encourage persons to come out and support the rural carnivals in the different areas in South Leeward, in Central Leeward, in Windward, And I also take this opportunity to thank the sponsors for coming on board, thank the police for their usual support and security. You know, we can't do these things without the patrons, we can't do it without the sponsors, we can't do it without the police. And when people feel safe, they come out to party. So I'm going to encourage one and all to support the events this weekend, this coming weekend, as we try to build a better St. Vincent, a better rural carnival, a better Vincy Mass product on a whole. The hottest carnival in the Caribbean.
On the premier festival itself, Vincy Mass, chairman of the Carnival Development Corporation, Ricardo Adams, said they are still going ahead with plans to split the Raga and Soca Monarch competitions this year.
This year, we're doing a split where we're putting the Raga Soca over on the Evo show. So the Raga Soca competition goes over on the Evo show. The Power Soca remains on its own night on the Saturday night, because Vincy Mass Soca Monarch has made its name. Everybody knows that it is one of the most high energy events that you can attend. In fact, for a lot of people, it's a fete with a competition in the background. So even while the people are setting up the stage, and so people are amazed at the energy that is on the ground. The question has been asked, why move Raga Soca over to Evo? The answer I give people is in the way of two questions, and the answers to those two questions. The first question is, what do we consider to be the music, the soca music that is generated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that we claim as our soca music? And the answer that we always give is, we are the home of Raga Soca. The concept of Evo. What is the concept of Evo? The concept of Evo is showing the evolution of Vincy music, Vincy soca music over the years. And what better place to showcase the evolution of the Vincy, because it always starts off as a kind of back in time that ends up with our very current artists.